Where's Jackson?
He didn't make it. Neither did you.
As I'm getting older, chip upon my shoulder, blown through life, you roll over and die.
Hey guys, it's Streed, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 1970s action heist flick, The Getaway. The Getaway was directed by Sam Peckinpah. It starred Steve McQueen, Ali McGraw, and Aladieri. The film is about an expert bank robber named Carter Doc McCoy, who's serving a 10-year sentence for armed robbery. After 4 years, he becomes restless and asks his wife Carol to contact a corrupt businessman with a lot of political clout named Jack Benyon to release him in exchange for assisting in one last heist with his wife Carol and 2 men, Frank Jackson and Rudi Butler. The heist goes wrong and Rudi double-crosses Frank and tries to kill Doc unsuccessfully. Benyon alludes to Carol sleeping with him and she shoots him, causing a rift between Doc and Carol. They get the money and cross the country, heading to El Paso, Texas, with Benyon's men, the police, and Rudi Butler sharply on their tail, as they try to make it out and live a quieter life when the dust settles. This film was fucking awesome. I honestly wished I would have seen this way sooner, because I've heard a bit about Sam Peckinpah. And when I looked on his IMDb page, I found out something really fucking awesome. He actually wrote a few episodes of Gunsmoke. And that shit's... I can't believe I didn't even see it. That's almost prophetic. When I was watching Gunsmoke, I never realized that one of these directors that I kept hearing about was writing some of the episodes, and he's a pretty damn good writer. And I wish I would have come across his films a lot sooner, you know, because I keep hearing about directors like Jean-Luc Godard, Gaspar Noé, you know, and I still haven't seen any of their films yet. I've seen Godard's short films. I will say that I've seen short films. All the Men Are Named Patrick. That was pretty funny. But anyways. This is my very first Sam Peckinpah film, because he's directed films like Convoy with Chris Christopherson, Cross of Iron, The Killer Elite. There's the guy from The Godfather is in that. I know that because I looked on the poster. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, Junior Bonner, Straw Dogs. Been hearing a lot about that, and the most I've been hearing about The Wild Bunch, and I will cover those films. Bergman, I'm gonna cover Bergman mostly on First Thoughts and Feelings, but I think I'll cover Peckinpah here. I love this film so much. The violence was it felt ramped up, but it also felt very realistic. You know, it felt very gritty. Like I said, this is my very first Sam Peckinpah film, but it was also my second Steve McQueen film, and he plays a bit of a bigger role than he did in The Great Escape. Now for the strengths. I love the opening. The opening is the perfect encapsulation of tedium, but in a good way. It's very repetitive. It shows like Doc's daily schedule, you know, what he has to deal with. He has to work on some sort of thing, and strangely enough, the prisoners are all dressed in white. They're all like dressed in like white jumpsuits, which is odd because I've never seen like prisoners in white jumpsuits. It's always been like it's always been orange or blue sometimes. I've never seen them white ones, so that was pretty interesting. It's just, I loved the whole atmosphere. It was very repetitive. The editing even made you feel uncomfortable for the first 6 minutes of the film, and it just does it so well. And I love the beautiful roadside scenery. And now, I've said this a lot of times, but I love road films. Fucking Dumb and Dumber, Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, which I have on DVD. Right here. My good old bud Jordan, my friend Jordan, he got it for me. So you can tell it's a classic disc too, because it's none of that modern disc bullshit where they got no design. I miss DVDs with design. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Um, Now, oh yeah, the roadside scenery. It's very country looking scenery, and there's also a few deserts in there, especially at the end. I recognize some actors. I recognized a lot of actors in this. We've got Steve McQueen, of course, Alighieri from The Godfather, Dub Taylor, who was in Creature from Black Lake. I never expected him to show up in this because this is a very high class film, and that was kind of low budget. So it was fucking cool to see him here. And the most unexpected of all, Slim motherfucking Pickens. I'll be honest. The credits, I was paying attention to what was going on, but I somehow missed the credits that said he was in there. I can't. It was fucking awesome that Slim Pickens was in this, and the few minutes he's on screen at the end, he does a pretty good job. I like him. He's a pretty likable guy. I wish he would have been in a little longer. And Doc McCoy and Carol have great chemistry. For the first few minutes of the film, they're very awkward around each other, you know, because McCoy. Speaking of his name, Doc McCoy. Come on, that has to be a Star Trek reference. Dr. McCoy, Doc McCoy. That can't be a mistake. Peckinpah had to have been a Star Trek fan. Wouldn't that be fucking cool if he wrote for them? I'm not sure, actually. That would be fucking awesome. But yeah, at the beginning of the film, they're very offish towards each other. Mainly McCoy to Carol, because he's been to prison. He's a little traumatized from it, because you don't know what the fuck he went through. He rarely talks about it, but I think it was mainly the tedium of it all that went down. And they have very much an arc throughout the film, because after he finds out that she was sleeping with Benyon to release him, he gets really fucking pissed at her, and he's treating her like shit, and right out of nowhere, he beats her in one scene, like, which I think was holy fucking shit. That's what solidified him being a villain, because, like, yeah, he was already a villain, because he was a bank robber, he was a criminal, he was kind of a dick, but this was like, holy shit, dude, and he fucking hit the fuck out of her. And I read in the trivia, apparently that was fucking real. That's I hope he didn't hit her like for real, because like it read in there her reaction was genuine shock. I hope the only thing that was real was the shock at him not hitting her. I hope it was like fake hits. Like she was shocked at first, but then it was like fake hits, you know, and she just kind of rolled with it, and it was just like an improvisation. I hope it wasn't real, because, I mean, if that was real, Steve McQueen, man, come on. That's a bit fucked. And towards the end of the film, he actually forgives her, and they work as a team, and it's actually very cute, you know? Ignoring the whole, he beat her once part. And Rudi Butler, holy fucking shit, Rudi Butler was such an awesome villain. There's right at the, I think what scene that made him really cool was when he was sitting there hiding out near this like shed place, and McCoy comes up and he's like, "Are there any survivors?" No, he said oh, what's the other guy's name? What happened to Frank? And he's like, "Oh, Frank didn't make it, and neither did you." You know, and like I showed you in the beginning, fucking McCoy, he shoots him and he falls there, and I thought he'd be dead. I thought he was just like a minor antagonist in this, but no, he actually survives. And there's actually a really fucking cool setup here that nobody ever talks about. When they're planning to rob the bank, which that's a very well done scene, very suspenseful. When they're planning to rob the bank, he says he never uses these bulletproof vests. You know, he never uses them. He said he spent 10 years without doing it. So when he's shot, he actually did wear a bulletproof vest. And you're probably thinking, well, that's just so. Well, I think he played a little game on them, because I think he was, from the whole time, he was obviously planning to betray them all and take the money for himself. So I think he wanted to put it into McCoy's mind that, hey, I mean, you can kill me if I do anything, because, you know, like, I'm not going to be wearing a bulletproof vest. So mentally, he's thinking, okay, well, I'll just shoot him, in the chest, or he does shoot him in the head, but he grazes him, slightly grazes him. So he's probably wanted to implant in his mind that, hey, shoot me here, when he was, because he said he's not going to wear a vest, but then he wears a vest. I think that was a really smart payoff, setup and payoff. It's small, but I thought it was pretty interesting. And I love the fact that when he takes the lady hostage, Sally Struthers, which I like Sally Struthers, I do, but she was so fucking annoying in this, and she was a bitch. She actually falls in love with his dick, even after he gets injured towards the end. She's like, Rudy, where are you? She just sort of walks out of the movie. I didn't like her character. She was very whiny. I felt pretty bad for her husband, which he's an older man. I thought he was her father at one point, but no, he was a husband. But yeah, she was really annoying. But anyways, as I was saying, when he was taking them hostage, he has as he's laying down and she's like repairing his wounds, he has a little black kitten on him that he keeps petting, and it's a very small detail in the scene, but I think I don't know, it adds a little bit of character to Rudi Butler. Like he's a really vile, evil guy, but the juxtaposition of him being kind to a sweet little kitty, and he does this throughout the movie. The kitten's almost like a small little minor character, like a very, very, very minor character. And he keeps the fact that he keeps the kitten around and he plays with it and he hangs out with it. It's just funny. It's a really funny little hidden joke. Like he's an asshole. He's a monster, but yet he's kind to this kitten, and it's also pretty cute. The kitten's adorable. And I love the rib bone scene. Despite Sally Struthers being annoying, I love how this guy, another joke with him, I love how he's he's like a badass. He's established as like this really cruel, nasty badass. But he's in the car and he's eating rib bones, and he's like, rib bone, ha ha ha. He's throwing rib bones everywhere, and then she's throwing them back, and then fucking Harold, the husband, he's driving, he's fucking pissed off. This guy was so close to just jump into the back of him and be like, shut the fuck up! But fortunately, the guy was a bit of a pussy. And then the scene just escalates to where she throws a rib bone and it hits him. He's like, I don't want to play this stupid game anymore. He's acting like a fucking toddler, even though we established this guy is a badass. And usually this would be a flaw, but I think it's just funny. I think there's a lot of well-developed characters in here, but I really like how well they developed Rudi, because they didn't have to. And it's not big, major developments, but they didn't have to add these small little character things in him. The only thing I'm a little disappointed by is throughout most of the movie, he doesn't do much. He does some stuff at the beginning, and he's involved in the end, but like throughout the main movie, he's not really doing anything. He's just sort of hanging out with Sally Struthers, with the lady. You could almost edit this into like a weird romantic comedy between the two. That'd be fun. Someone needs to do that. Those dishonest trailers or whatever. Someone needs to edit this into like a romantic comedy between Rudi and Sally. That would be fucking hilarious. And I love the music. The music has a very 1970s groove, sort of funk to it sometimes. It's very hard to describe, but my favorite track of all time in this movie is when we get a little scene of levity with McCoy going to this swimming place, like this river, and he's imagining himself swimming with Carol, and they're having a good time, and the music is just so bright and beautiful. It's harmonica music. And Quincy Jones, he really knocked it out of the ballpark here. He did so good in this. And I love how the tension rises in this film, because you got fucking cops chasing him, you got Rudi chasing him, you got Benion's men chasing him. Unfortunately, Benion's men, they do even less than Rudi. It's mainly the cops, and it's also sometimes the people, because everywhere they stop, because there's this altercation on the bus to where this kid is pointing this water squirt gun at McCoy, and he grabs his fucking arm, and he's like, "You better, I know you're a good kid, but you better go back to your mommy or I'll break your little arm," you know? And then she tells on him. He ends up knocking out this guy because there's this little side plot, which also rises to the attention of this dickhole, this, like, con man who steals the money that they got, you know, that they're robbed. And, like, after he lets the kid go and he beats the fuck out of the other dude. Actually, no, I think he beats him up before he gets into a little scuffle with the kid. But yeah, later on, the kid ends up reporting him to the police, and then his image gets out, and then everywhere they go, they have to deal with fucking people being like, "Oh, that's the robber! That's the robber! Oh no! Oh!" You know, and then they have to go, and they have to get out these awesome fucking police chases. There's this really cool scene where he fucking blows the back out the car, and he's shooting at him. Fucking awesome. The violence and action is glorious. Throughout the movie, I love the gunfights in here. It's fucking awesome. You could tell this guy was a Western director with how much gun violence there is in this, and it's just beautiful. Especially, oh dude, especially the final gun scene, the final shootout, as I'd say, when Benion's men arrive, and there's this whole fucking bloody brawl. It's fucking amazing. You guys gotta see it for yourself.
Where's Rudy? Have you seen Rudy?
No, I haven't seen Rudi, you dumb broad.
So, yeah, that was fucking awesome. I love the ending, even though it does feel a little bit Hollywoody. It feels a little, I don't know, it feels a little fantasy-like. But I pretty much enjoyed the ending. You see, Doc and Carol, they end up running into this old man, who was played by Slim Pickens, this cowboy dude. And they end up paying him like $20,000 to keep his mouth shut, so they go off, and they drive off into the sunset, and it's a little Hollywoodish, but, you know, I liked it. I liked it. Overall, this movie was a bloody, action-packed, suspenseful masterpiece with great writing, great characters. It was never dull. It was never stupid. All the characters were fucking great, except for Sally Struthers. She was annoying. The music, the score, beautiful. Would I recommend this? Hell motherfucking yes. I'm gonna have to give this a definite 10 out of 10. Well, guys, that was my review of my very first Sam Peckinpah flick, The Getaway, and I will see you all next time.